It was one of those quiet evenings where the air carried a chill, the last remnants of winter reluctantly giving way to spring. I sat curled up on my favorite couch, wrapped in a soft blanket, watching reruns of old sitcoms. The familiar laughter from the TV filled the room, providing a comforting backdrop to my solitude. Just as I was about to doze off, my phone buzzed. Glancing at the screen, I saw my husband's name flash. A small smile tugged at my lips, but as I read the message, my heart sank. "Don't wait up." That was it. No explanation. No affectionate words. Just three simple, yet unsettling, words. I frowned, puzzled. My husband, Daniel, had never sent such a vague and abrupt message before. We were creatures of habit, our routine set in stone. Work, dinner, some quiet time together, then bed. It was our unspoken ritual, a way to stay connected despite our busy lives. That's odd, I thought, my mind racing with possibilities. Had something urgent come up at work? Was he meeting up with an old friend? Maybe he had a last-minute gathering with colleagues. I tried to brush off the uneasy feeling creeping into my chest. But as the hours passed and the night deepened, my concern grew. By 11 p.m., I had checked my phone multiple times, hoping for an update. Nothing. Daniel was never out this late without at least calling or sending a follow-up text. He was always considerate, always checking in. A dozen scenarios flashed through my mind. Had there been an accident? Was he in trouble? Or was he with someone else? I shook my head, pushing the intrusive thought away. No, Daniel wasn't like that. Was he? At 1 a.m., curiosity and anxiety got the better of me. I opened the Find My Phone app, something we had both enabled for safety reasons. As the location loaded, my breath hitched. The Grand Regency Hotel. My fingers trembled as I zoomed in. Why was he there? It was the most luxurious hotel in the city, known for its candlelit dinners and extravagant suites. Was it a work event? A client meeting? A deep, unsettling feeling rooted itself in my chest. I had to know the truth. I grabbed my coat and keys, barely thinking as I drove through the silent streets. The neon lights reflected off the wet pavement, casting an eerie glow that matched my growing dread. By the time I arrived at the hotel, my pulse was racing. I stepped into the grand lobby, the scent of expensive cologne and fresh flowers filling the air. The golden chandeliers shimmered overhead, but their beauty was lost on me. I made my way to the restaurant, my heart hammering against my ribs. The moment I stepped inside, I scanned the room, my breath caught in my throat. There he was. Daniel sat at a dimly lit corner table, dressed impeccably in his navy blue suit. His posture was relaxed, his smile genuine. But he wasn't alone. A young woman with long, golden hair sat across from him, her eyes locked onto his with an intensity that made my stomach twist. She laughed at something he said, her delicate hand resting on his. And then, my gaze landed on the small cake between them, adorned with flickering candles and the words, "Happy Anniversary." My world tilted. My knees felt weak. Anniversary? But it wasn't ours. A crushing weight settled over my chest as the reality of the situation hit me like a speeding train. I wanted to move, to breathe, to do anything but stand there frozen in disbelief. This can't be happening. My mind scrambled for an explanation, but deep down I already knew. I had just uncovered a secret that would change everything. There had to be a logical explanation. My heart was pounding, my hands trembling as I hid behind a pillar, straining to hear their conversation. The soft hum of the restaurant, the clinking of glasses, and the occasional burst of laughter from nearby tables faded into the background. All I could focus on was them. Every word they exchanged felt like a dagger piercing deeper into my soul. He looked happy, relaxed, comfortable. This wasn't a casual work dinner. The way she leaned in, the way his hand rested so easily next to hers, it spoke volumes. A knot formed in my stomach. Who was she? How long had this been going on? My fingers trembled as I reached for my phone. With a quick, discreet motion, I snapped a picture, capturing them in a moment of intimacy. It wasn't much, but it was evidence. a piece of my crumbling reality frozen in time. Tucking my phone away, I turned and slipped out of the restaurant. My footsteps felt heavy, weighed down by the unbearable truth pressing against my chest. Stepping outside, the cool night air brushed against my skin, but it did nothing to soothe the burning rage, the confusion, the betrayal coursing through me.
Why? How?
When? The questions played on repeat in my mind as I got into my car. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, trying to steady my thoughts. The rational part of my brain urged patience. I needed answers. A direct confrontation seemed like the best approach, but not tonight. Not when my emotions were so raw, when my voice would tremble with hurt instead of controlled reasoning. Tonight, I needed to think. Sleep was elusive. My mind replayed the scene at the restaurant over and over again. The way he laughed, the way she touched his hand, the candlelit cake with the words "Happy Anniversary." I tossed and turned, searching for a rational explanation. Our anniversary was still a week away. Could it have been a work anniversary? A business celebration? Or was there another meaning entirely when I wasn't ready to accept? Doubt gnawed at me, but a single truth became clear. I needed more information. The next morning, after Daniel left for work, I made a decision. I needed to find out who she was. All I had was her face from the photo, a ghost in my memory. It wasn't enough. If I wanted answers, I needed to dig deeper. I hesitated at the door to his home office. My fingers hovered over the doorknob. Was I really about to invade his privacy? But betrayal had blurred the lines of morality. I stepped inside. For hours, I sifted through paperwork, opened drawers, searched through his emails. Nothing. I almost gave up until I stumbled upon a name buried in a string of emails. Elena. At first, the messages were professional, discussions about work projects, deadlines, and schedules. But as I scrolled further, the tone shifted. Subtle at first, then unmistakable. Flirtation, inside jokes, personal confessions, and then the most recent email. Looking forward to celebrating our special day tonight.
Same place, same time.
Can't wait to see you. Attached was a confirmation for a dinner reservation. The timestamp matched last night. My hands clenched into fists.
Who was she?
I clicked on her email signature. Elena Martinez, senior designer at a renowned architectural firm downtown. I had my answer. Now I needed to confront her. Determined, I got dressed and made my way to the city. The firm was housed in a sleek glass building, modern and intimidating. My nerves threatened to betray me, but I forced myself forward. I approached the receptionist, trying to appear casual. "I'm here to see Elena Martinez." The receptionist raised an eyebrow, scanning through a schedule. After a brief pause, she nodded. "She's free right now. 12th floor, 4th door to your right." I took a deep breath, my heart hammering as I stepped into the elevator. The doors closed, trapping me in my thoughts. What was I going to say? What if she denied everything? The doors slid open with a soft chime, and I found myself standing outside her office. The plaque read, "Elena Martinez, Senior Designer." I hesitated for only a moment before knocking. "Come in," a voice called. I stepped inside. Elena looked up from her desk, her blue eyes widening in surprise. She was even more stunning in person, long golden hair, high cheekbones, an air of confidence. She studied me for a second before speaking. "Can I help you?" I took out my phone, pulling up the picture from the restaurant. I turned the screen toward her. Her face drained of color. For a moment, she just stared, lips parted slightly, as if searching for the right words. Then she sighed. "Listen," she said cautiously. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "Really? Explain," I retorted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Elena sighed, rubbing her temples before finally meeting my gaze. "That anniversary we were celebrating, it was the anniversary of our first project together. We've been partners on multiple architectural projects over the years. I lost my husband 2 years ago, and your husband, he's been a great friend, helping me cope." I blinked, taken aback. The intimate conversations, the touch, the laughter. She looked down, her voice softer now. Grief does strange things to people. We found solace in each other's company. It's never been romantic, but I understand how it might look. I'm truly sorry. I stared at her, my mind spinning. Was she telling the truth? Had I completely misread the situation? But then, why the secrecy? Why had my husband told me any of this? Without another word, I turned and left her office. As I drove home, the city lights flashed past me, their brilliance a cruel contrast to the chaos in my mind. Elena's words circled my thoughts, repeating over and over. Could I have been wrong? Or was she just trying to cover up their relationship? There was only one person who could give me real answers. The evening sky was painted in hues of pink and purple as I pulled into our driveway. I sat in the car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, taking deep breaths to steady my racing heart. I had to do this. I stepped out and walked to the door, my hands trembling slightly as I rang the doorbell. A few seconds later, the door swung open. Daniel's face lit up when he saw me, his usual warm smile forming, but it quickly faded as he took in my expression. Concern flickered in his eyes. "You okay?" he asked, his brows knitting together. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out my phone and handed it to him. He glanced at the screen. The picture of him and Elena at the restaurant. His face paled, much like Elena's had earlier. "I can explain," he started, but I cut him off. "I met Elena," I said, my voice quivering with emotions I wasn't sure how to process. He exhaled, looking down. His face was a mask of guilt and regret. "I should have told you," he admitted. "I know how this looks, but I swear there was never any romantic involvement. Elena and I, we were just grieving together." Grieving? My confusion deepened. Grieving what? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated. Then, with a deep sigh, he began. "A few years ago, we lost a huge project. It was supposed to be our legacy, a building that would stand tall for generations. But we lost it due to internal politics and betrayal. It crushed us both, especially Elena. She had just lost her husband, and then this, it was too much." He paused, his voice thick with emotion. "We found comfort in our shared sorrow, and we made a promise that we'd bounce back, that we wouldn't let that failure define us. So every year, on that day, we meet. We remind ourselves of what we overcame. We celebrate our resilience." I searched his face, my eyes desperately looking for any sign of deceit. But all I saw was raw emotion, vulnerability, truth. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. He looked away for a moment, then back at me. "I didn't want you to see me as a failure. I wanted to be a rock, the strong one. And when Elena and I started meeting annually, it just became our thing. I realize now how wrong I was to keep it from you." Tears welled up in my eyes. The storm of emotions inside me, anger, betrayal, relief, love, threatened to overwhelm me. We had promised each other transparency. "We promised," I reminded him, my voice breaking. He nodded, his voice heavy with regret. "I know, and I'm truly sorry." We stood there for what felt like hours, the weight of secrets and misunderstandings pressing down on us. But in that silence, a realization dawned. Our love was strong enough to weather the storm. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions. We both took time off work, realizing that our relationship needed urgent mending. The walls of our home echoed with conversations, some heated, some tearful, but all essential. One evening, as we sat on our porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, he finally spoke. "You know, in architecture, when a structure is weak, it's not always about tearing it down. Sometimes it's about reinforcing it, making it stronger." I turned to look at him, sensing the depth of his words. "Are we the structure in this scenario?" I asked with a half smile. He nodded.
Yes.
"And I believe we can reinforce our relationship, make it even stronger." We decided to seek professional help. There were counseling sessions, some together, some individually. We peeled back the layers of our relationship, understanding the cracks and figuring out how to fill them. Communication,
Trust.
vulnerability. These were the building blocks we needed to restore. During one session, our therapist handed us a small clay pot with a tiny sprouting plant. This, she said, is a symbol of your relationship. Nurture it, water it, give it sunlight, watch it grow. But remember, it needs constant care. We took those words to heart. Months passed, turning into a year. The pain of betrayal, though never completely forgotten, began to fade, replaced by a bond that felt stronger, more deliberate. We spent more time together, took trips, and rediscovered the parts of each other that had been lost in the chaos of everyday life. Then, one evening, I came home to find our backyard decorated with soft lights. A small gathering of our closest friends and family stood waiting, their faces filled with warmth and anticipation. I turned to Daniel, my eyes questioning. He smiled, taking my hand. "This is our recommitment ceremony," he whispered. There, surrounded by loved ones, we renewed our vows, not just as a tradition, but as a promise. A promise to cherish, to respect, and most importantly, to communicate. It was a simple event, yet the weight of its significance was profound. As we exchanged vows, my eyes landed on the small plant our therapist had given us. It had grown, stronger, taller, now bearing its first delicate flower, a testament to our journey. From wilted hopes to blooming love. Life isn't about avoiding storms, it's about learning how to navigate through them. And we had weathered one of our biggest. In its wake, we found something even more profound, a love that had been tested, reforged, and made unbreakable. Please feel free to comment below if you like this. Remember to like and subscribe for more.